second leading cause of death in Canada, only beaten by all forms of cancer combined. So heart disease in general will kill more Canadians in 1 year than breast cancer, prostate cancer, and motor vehicle incidents combined. So it is a very large killer. Cardiac arrest specifically, we're looking at about 40,000 cardiac arrests that occur in Canada on an annual basis. So that means that we're looking at about cardiac arrest happening every 12 minutes. So just a little bit longer than my presentation today, and there'll be a cardiac arrest somewhere in Canada. Now, typically these things do end not well. We're going to see that most people without that appropriate and immediate care, that they are going to die. So this is where we need to start engaging the public and getting the public access to AEDs and get public willing to start CPR. Because 85% of all cardiac arrests probably happen in the home and happen in public spaces. When I go to most cardiac arrests, it is in the home. The majority of ones that I go to with BC Ambulance are in people's homes. Here in Golden, we were fortunate enough to be identified when the Heart and Stroke Foundation of BC decided to enter into their public access to defibrillation program. So they sent out surveys to regional districts, they sent out surveys to chief administrative officers in every municipality to try and identify spaces that could benefit from an AED in those things. And Golden was fortunate enough to actually receive 5 of those AEDs through that PAD program. And here they are. I'm going to tell you guys where they are so you guys all know where they are and can share this information. So the first one is located that I have here in the arena. It's just in the main foyer to the right of the rink doors. That's Mount 7, Recplex, just to the left of the doors as you exit the gymnasium. There's one at the swimming pool, accessible by staff. There's also one in the lounge access stairs for the curling rink. There's one located upstairs in the Grand Hall, just to the back of the wall there, on the right-hand side of the doors. And then the College of the Rockies actually has one too, which wasn't PAD program, but still accessible to the public. And that's in the main hall of the college, to the left-hand side of the hall there, just past reception. So a real concentration of AEDs in one end of the one end of town for sure. An AED is an automated external defibrillator, and we'll talk a little bit about what they do in a moment. So these are where we have the publicly accessible AEDs in Golden at this time. So I'm by no means a cardiologist, I am a mere paramedic, but I do know a little bit about what the heart does. And I'm just going to go into a little bit. I don't want this to be what this presentation is about, okay? So the heart does a bunch of things to kind of act as that forward acting pump to get blood to where it needs to go. It needs to go to the body, it needs to go to the lungs, it needs to go to the brain, and it needs to go to the heart itself to keep it functioning. And that's kind of created by a electrical event. Now this is created we have a natural pacemaker that kind of dictates how much our heart beats. That will create a mechanical event, pumping event. And this in turn creates that rhythmic and coordinated pumping action that we need to get blood throughout our body. Now, what happens when we go into cardiac arrest is something changes this. Something creates a disruption in that electrical event, and our heart doesn't act in this manner anymore. One way I like to talk about some of the rhythms that can happen to the heart is, does everyone remember growing up, at least I do, the upside down jello cakes that mom used to make? And as you would walk with them, they'd wiggle. Well, that's what the heart can kind of sort of do once we enter into specific heart rhythms that don't allow it to work properly. So now what does AEDs do? The automated external defibrillators. Essentially, it's an electrical shock to the heart. And what it does, it's like a slap across the face to the heart. And what we're doing is we're stopping all that electrical activity, and we're hoping the heart's going to restart after this in that kind of coordinated action we need it to. And we're hoping that electrical activity actually starts at its natural pacemaker again and allows us to get that coordinated heart rhythm again. And this is called automaticity. Now, the importance of AED use in a really timely and quick manner. I want to just talk about maybe a typical event that happens in a home or in a public space. So again, I'm going to talk about this a couple times. The chance of success of survival is reduced by 7 to 10% every single minute that goes by after a cardiac arrest occurs. So we're going to go into recognition. When somebody collapses in front of you, it might take you a moment, at least a moment, to decide what's going on and to act on that. Then we're going to need to go ahead and do some reporting. That might take a couple minutes, whether to notify friends and family, get 911 on the phone, get ambulance moving towards you. So primary response is most likely, hopefully, going to be yourselves. Making sure that we start CPR in that instance, get some ventilations on board if that's what we need to do, artificial vents, breathing for them. From there, maybe we're going to have friends and family, neighbors come along who can assist in this, other bystanders in public spaces. And then in really good situations, we're going to have ambulance arriving within 7 to 10 minutes if you live in the town of Golden. If you guys live outside of the town of Golden, this is going to be much longer, okay? So remember, every minute that we go by without AED use, that defibrillation, we're reducing our chances of survival by 7 to 10%. But good thing, combined with CPR, if we use an AED, we increase our chances of survival by up to 75%. So that's huge, and that means that's why we want people to act quickly and act fast and get their hands on those AEDs that are available in public spaces. So what can we do as members, as residents of the Golden community? Well, you can take an AED CPR course. The College of the Rockies holds these on an ongoing basis. I myself am a CPR instructor, and I cater to groups throughout the community. This is not a plug for business, but we can definitely do courses, whoever needs it. You can visit the Heart and Stroke Foundation of Canada website. They've got great tips just on eating smart, recognizing signs and symptoms of cardiac arrest. And I think if you guys have coworkers or friends or family members who are at a higher risk of heart disease, that this is something that's really smart to do. And they've got a really great little home CPR training kit that won't give you a certification, but it might give you and your family just the basics of how to do CPR and become an AED advocate in your community. So there's definitely areas in Golden that could benefit from having an AED. I went to a bunch of places once I found out I was doing this presentation to see if there were AEDs in those places. And there was some spaces, and I don't want to speak to why they don't have them in place, but there was some areas that I was really surprised that they don't have one. The senior center being the main one that I was really surprised that we don't have an AED available there. So get involved. If you find out granting abilities to help these guys get AEDs, then do so. If you're a business owner and you want to donate on a local level, think about getting an AED for a local area that could use one, and then just have discussions. Talk about this amongst yourselves, amongst your family and your friends and your coworkers. And then just remember, you guys, be ready to act if you see someone collapse, because this can happen anywhere, anytime, to anyone. And that's it. Thank you.